What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast No Plus. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk again about the length of Dying Light 2. Now, obviously, it's been a hot topic. It's probably annoyed quite a few people, over the past week or so. That's fine. Okay, that's fine, and I get it. And I guess what I want to do here is on my main channel, I think this past Monday, this case was like 6 days ago, I made a video talking about, the length, and I got a lot of comments, and I want to talk about a little bit more about the perspective of kind of everybody, because I really do think it's something that a lot of people miss. Now, in that video, I said, and I will say it here, I personally am not a fan of like a 500-hour game. I just don't have that time. I personally believe that is going to include a lot of copying and pasting, but I also fully recognize people that have replayed Dying Light for thousands of hours. I've played it yearly. I've played it twice a year. People that play any kind of game, people that play multiplayer games, because there's kind of a double standard there, isn't it? When people say, oh, well, the single-player game, I'll never spend 500 hours, or it's stupid, it's got 500 hours, and yet they have 500 hours in last year's Call of Duty, right? Double standard. That's not fair to say stuff like that. So, again, I want to kind of clarify where I stand and kind of go more into it. My issue with it. So I'll say my issue, and then I'll say kind of the reverse side of what I've seen, which I do think is very, very fair. My side is I do believe it's next to impossible, or even impossible, to have a game that's 500 hours where every single second is going to be like fully engrossing. Now, that's probably a pretty unfair, mentality to have about it. And granted, they have come out, actually, I predicted it. I said the campaign will probably be around 20, 25 hours. I said 15 to 20 at some point. They said 20 hours. Main campaign, the quest line of the main story, is 20 hours. To do the main campaign and the side missions can get you to like 70 to 80 hours. Doing all of the endings, finding every single thing in the map, exploring every part of the map, every dialogue, etc. That is how you get to 500 hours. Now, I'm still a little, not even concerned. I guess I'm just kind of like confused how you can do, it sounds like, most stuff in this game for 80 hours, and then the rest of this, and then there's like another 400 hours there somewhere, and that probably is just like looking at the terrain of a certain area. So, and I know I'm joking, I'm poking fun at it, but you know what I mean? I guess that's where I stand. I'm not like massively upset about it. I've said it 1,000 times. I'm buying this game day one. I am. I cannot wait to play this game. I've been waiting for this game for years, but I just don't get how that 400 extra hours is going to be so like, revolutionary. That's it. Now, on the reverse side, the comments of that video did exactly what I thought it would do, right? A lot of people saying those are the kind of games that I play, which is totally respectable. I understand, I get it. There's actually not too much to say about that side other than I feel like we can kind of understand each other. And again, I'm not saying like I'm some like beacon for, oh, the game needs to only be 5 hours. I guess I am fully on the side of quality over quantity. A game can be 100 hours and have 20 hours of good content. A game can be 8 hours and have, say, 6 hours of good content, and then therefore the shorter game is better, in my opinion, because I don't want to play. I'm not saying this for Dying Light, but like other games, there has actually been like, those sayings where, oh, it gets better after like 15 hours. Oh, it kind of ramps up. Even one of my most favorite games recently, Persona 5. I love Persona 5. Took me around 95 hours to beat Persona 5. I would say if you're not like in, and you're not like telling yourself in your head, I'm gonna be in it for the long run, you would probably quit, because the game really doesn't pick up until 10, 15, 20 hours in. That's my full-on opinion, having played it, having been somebody who is not a diehard person. Now I am, but I wasn't when I played it. That's coming from me. So I would rather play a game that's 5 hours, but like worth every second, than play 100 hours and say, well, like it takes 20 hours to get good, and then, there's like a down period, and, oh, there's a lot of like repeats, like the quest repeat. And granted, I did see in the comments that there were a lot of people that did agree with that, right? 500 hours, that's great. Big number. Big number means, oh my, like all of a sudden all the eyes are on it. But if there's no quality in those 500 hours, then no, it actually is not, it's not worth it. So I guess what people are kind of banking on, which I totally get, and I did say, I think Techland may be able to do, they're a very talented developer, The hours that you're sinking in need to be worth it. There needs to be some value. You can't have 400 hours of fluff. I mean, it's just never going to work. Yes, people replay Dying Light, but they're replaying like a 50-hour, you know what I mean, piece, because Dying Light isn't actually 500 hours worth of content, right? The main story is like 15 hours, okay? The whole game is maybe 50. So you're playing 50 hours, and you're just replaying it because it's so good, okay? Does that make sense? So you're not replaying 500 hours more than once. You're playing 50 hours, and you're playing it like 10, 15 times, which is fine, you know what I mean? So that's just, to me, I think some people are missing that. And not just even the people that are like, oh my God, like, oh, everybody on planet Earth watched my video. All the Dying Light 2 fans watched my video. No, you know, but I'm trying to make a statement here to just anybody on the internet where it's like, I get it. I get that to some people, bigger number means better. And some people want these games that are 100, 150 hours. Some people want an hour for every $1. So if it's $60 game, full price game, right? They expect 60 hours. That I will never agree with that, ever. And I did have people say that, you know, that they need like 100 hours or more for it to be worth it. I think you're missing out on quite a few very good games that are not 100 hours long, but I get it. It's not me. You know what I mean? Who cares? It's what people think. All I'm saying, though, and I do think this could kind of be a universal truth, because, yeah, there is going to be that disagreement where some people aren't going to play a 10-hour game because they feel like that's not worth it. I completely disagree there, but I get that people aren't like that. But what I will say is a truth, or I think is a truth, is it isn't about the hours, though. So the people that want 100, 150, 500 hours, 1,000 hours in their games, you know, in 5 years from now, right? I would hope it's not about those hours. It's about the quality you get in those hours. So if less than half of the 500 hours are good and the other half is dead boring, then did it need to be 500 hours, or was that kind of just like a thing that you said out loud online to get traction, right? I even brought up The Witcher. The Witcher, with all of its stuff, even the 2 DLCs, right, brings it to maybe 100, 125 hours, maybe. But even that, maybe the pinnacle game, like the game that you can model anything off of how you do side quests meaningfully, characters that you see one time in a quest and you love them and people remember them, that's like the game. But even that game, there is plenty of fluff in that game that I do not care, and many people do not care to do, that does add the hours to get it to 100, 120 hours. That game is not a 100-hour game. It is if you go in the ocean and you go you know, for treasure, and you take 10, 15, 20 hours to do it, but it'll get boring after one. So most of the time you're not doing anything actually good. And that's like one of the best games ever created. It's one of the best open world games, and how people should model their open world games. And even that has that problem. So does that make sense? That's where I stand. I have no problem if you want to play for 500 hours. I just hope, A, it's actually like there is 500 hours of content that's like good, and B, people recognize that it's like, you know, it's not 100 hours and then 400 hours is just kind of like fluff. And to be flat out honest with you, the way they're describing it, I can't help but think that it kind of is because they admitted, they didn't like backtrack, they didn't like, you know, bend the knee to the crowd, but saying, after you say 500 hours, to then say main story and all side quests, that's what they said, all side quests and the story is about 80 hours. So where does the other 410, like, are they considering, or I guess, are they assuming you're going to replay it and like go through it at the exact same speed? Like, it'll still take you 80 hours the second time to do the entire story, all the side quests, but you're going to choose a different ending. So that gets it to 160 hours. Then you do it a third time. Now you're at 240, right? Is that what they think? Or do they literally mean there's 400 more hours of content in this game to do everything? And yeah, I get it. People say, well, you don't need to do that. I'm not complaining about that. You know what I mean? I'm not saying like, oh, you know, you could just ignore it. I'm not saying anything to that point. I get that. I could just ignore it. Anybody could just ignore it. But saying it's got 500 hours, and if it's 300 hours of fluff and it's really 2, or it's 400 hours of fluff and it's really 100 hours that's good, why did you go for 5 in the first place? Does that make, like, there's just no reason to. So that's my final thoughts on it. I promise I won't talk about it again until I actually play the game. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed to the channel. Hit the bell icon so you guys know when all these videos go up, and I hope to see you all on tomorrow's video.